What if I told you that you can make multiple six figures a year and to get started only takes 5 simple steps? I tell you about those 5 simple steps in this training because this is what I think is a hindrance to people getting into entrepreneurship, and it doesn't have to be. So if you're ready to get started in being a real estate virtual assistant, you might think of focusing primarily on being a transaction coordinator or listing coordinator, or you might want to also offer marketing and administrative services. I'm going to give you the 5 keys to starting now. So the very first tip that I want to give you on how to start your career as a real estate virtual assistant are just simply giving you the keys to start. Okay. So I'm going to go over this briefly. I go over this in detail in my masterclass. It's free if you want to attend, link below. But this is going to be the brief synopsis of the keys to start. All right. So here we go. So the very first thing is you need to make sure that you have your EIN and LLC. Okay. Get those things squared away. I know some of you say, well, you can start as a sole proprietary. Sure. Okay. But you're dealing with contracts and money and thousands of dollars. You want to make sure that you have that protected, right? That business protected within an LLC to protect your personal assets. Okay. So LLC EIN, that's going to be your tax identification number. It's like your social security number for your business. You have to make sure you get that as well. And you can Google how to do that in your state. Some of you can do it on your own. Some of you may want to hire somebody to do it, right? Just depends on your risk appetite, right? I don't do it myself, but there's a lot of people that do. So the next thing is you want to make sure you have a website. And now we live in a day and age. It was different from when I started. When I started, I had a WordPress site. But now it's like you have Wix, you have Squarespace, you have all of these different template, drag and drop kind of websites that are really easy for somebody to manipulate. And even if you're not tech savvy, you can jump in there and do it. Or you can have somebody you know that's tech savvy do it, and they can typically get through that pretty fairly quickly, right? If you are enjoying this video, I know that you would enjoy my free training where I teach people how to start, scale, and sustain in this sector. I've done so for the past decade. And I teach you 5 keys to start. They're simple ways to get into this business. I also will teach you how do I scale it where I make multiple 6 figures a year, and I have for the past decade. And then I show you how do you sustain the growth and the scaling that you've acquired. How do you keep clients that want to be with you for years at a time? I teach you exactly what I do to maintain my retention with my clients. So if you want to learn more, all you have to do is go to tiffany'smasterclass.com, and I will show you how the bankrupt girl that barely could do 3rd grade math, apparently, since I couldn't pay my bills, was able to start in this business and able to blow past my competition and able to sustain it for a decade. I'll see you soon. So the next thing you need to have is your email, and we use Google Drive. We always recommend using G Suite, right? Google Suite. The reason why it's good is because with Google Suite, you're going to have your email where you can have it where it's masked with your domain. So it can be, mine, Tiffany at yourcompanyname.com. And then you also get all the perks of that. So you're getting the Google Sheets, the Google Docs, you're getting Google Forms, right? So we set up our entire automation system for our intake of our contracts with Google products, okay? And even though we've invested in different softwares along the way, we still keep our intake and with Google products. Like, it just works so well. So G Suite is our recommendation, but you do want to make sure that you have some level of organization in a storage drive, even if it's Dropbox or something else. And then also a professional email. You don't want to use @gmail.com. You want a nice professional email. All right. Next 3 tips. Okay. Business bank account. All right. Now that you have your EIN and your LLC, head on over to your local bank and get your business bank account. Okay. Now you might go with the bank that you already have a relationship with, or you might decide, you know what, I want to try some other banks, because sometimes a bank has great perks for a personal account, but they don't necessarily have great perks for a business account. So be sure to shop around and find the best fit for you. But at minimum, just head on over to the bank that you're at already and set up your business bank account. All right. I have several accounts because I use a special cash flow method, okay, that I teach in my masterclass. But for somebody just starting out, you need to not my masterclass, but my mentorship. But for somebody just starting out, you need to at least have a checking and a savings in a business account. All right. Keys to start number 5 is contract training. Okay. You need to make sure you get your contract training. And I have a tip that I'm going to go over with you in a few that's going to go in detail of what that training needs to look like. But you need to learn your state specific contract training. So every state is different. And there's some states where there's variations of the contract even within the state, right? And so you have to do your own investigation skills to learn what that looks like. But stick with me. I'm going to show you the standard of what you should be looking for when you're looking for the contract training. Okay. All right. And then the last thing is just to go get you some clients. All right. So those are the 5 keys to actually start the business. That's the really good thing about this sector is you don't need a ton of money to start. You don't need to have a brick and mortar. You don't need to have fancy software. You don't need all of those things. And so it's just one of my favorite things about the sector. All right. So those are the 5 simple keys to start in the real estate VA sector.